Hey everyone, welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories. I hope you had a great day. In today's video, OP gets told to just do his job by a customer. But in the end, the result was clearly not as expected from her. So sit back, relax and enjoy the video. The first story is called Meanie Jane. This happened about 6 years ago, when my brother and I were still teens. We lived next to an older lady, let's call her Jane, who we never really interacted with. We used to play with tennis balls and cricket balls in our backyard, and occasionally they would go over the fence. When they did, however, Jane would keep the balls and not give them back. She would always say, "Any ball that comes into my yard is mine and I'm keeping it." One time we were playing with my dog and her favorite ball went over the fence. I went to talk to Meanie Jane, as we called her, only because it was my dog's favorite ball, but obviously she wouldn't give it back. He was so sad and kept looking for the ball everywhere and wouldn't play with any other ball. That was the final straw. I found a shop online where you can bulk buy sports equipment, usually for schools, and with my dad's help bought 200 tennis balls. Once they arrived, my plan could begin. Step 1 was to ask her for my dog's ball again. To no surprise, she was mean and wouldn't give it. "Any ball that comes into my yard is mine and I'm keeping it." Fine then, time for step 2. Every day we went into the yard and threw a tennis ball over the fence. And with each day we would increase the amount. Day 1, 1 ball, day 2, 2 balls, day 3, 3, and so on. And each day before doing this I would ask for my dog's ball back, and each day she was telling me no. By the time we got to day 19, we only had 10 balls left, and that's when step 3 came into play. She had an old rubbish bin she kept all our balls in, and at this point it was overflowing. So that week's bin night, we watched her haul out 2 large black bin bags. Once it got dark, my dad and I went out, and lo and behold, it was every single ball of ours that had gone over the fence in the past few years. In total, around 300 balls, including the 200 balls from this month. Even my dog's ball wasn't there. To say my dog was really excited is an understatement. She wouldn't put the thing down and even started sleeping with it. I don't understand people like Meanie Jane. I mean, they were young. Why would you waste so much time and energy with something like that? The next story is called "You Told Me to Do My Job." This happened about 7 years ago. I used to work in a store. This particular day I was on the register when a well-dressed guy and 3 women walk in. Each takes a card, starts walking around and picking things out. I was known for not letting anything wrong get through on the register. You throw money at me, give me attitude, whatever. I'll do it right back to you. So when a coordinator comes to me 30 minutes later and asks me to take the dude and his girls on my register, I already know we are in for a fun time. They rolled up with these 3 carts full of clothes, and not just any stuff. We are talking about shoes and boots that cost $300 to $800, expensive handbags, coats and more. So they walk up, I start scanning, and all the while these ladies are being unpleasant. Finally I get through it all, and the total comes up to about 3K. The dude reaches into his coat and pulls out a wad of cash or crisp $100 bills, and immediately I knew something was off. So I take the money and go to the machine to check it. The first bill doesn't pass, neither does the second, so I turn back around and tell the dude that I can't take the money. Before I even get a chance to fully explain, one of the chicks cuts me off and tells me to take the money and do my job. Cue malicious compliance. I say, "You know what? You got it. Let me get the manager so he can help." At our discretion we can decline a form of payment. Say, if 2 of your cards get declined, gotta use cash. Your cash doesn't pass, gotta use a card, or we can just tell you to get out. But if we suspect you're using fake money, we gotta try and keep you there while we get the cops. So I go to my manager, cash in hand, and tell him what's up. He goes to the office and checks the money. Now the dude is nervous, but just imagine his pants when 2 cops walk in and head straight for us. His horrified face made my day. The cops take my statement, and the next thing you know, all 4 of them are getting arrested. While one of the ladies is screaming and cursing at me, I tell her in the most innocent voice I can pull off, "You told me to do my job." The third story is called Mileage vs. Wages. My job has me drive a lot, lots of highway driving as I visit different sites and so on. We have some vehicles for just such a purpose, but they are in short supply and high demand. And I always felt like if I was using a van just for me, I was depriving someone else of doing something with 4 or 5 other people. So I didn't feel bad if I took my own vehicle and claimed the mileage afterward. When my boss went on a sabbatical, the operations guy was my temporary boss. In a meeting, he showed me the numbers on my mileage claims and how they were higher than before. I pointed out that the other vehicles were being used a lot, so I just took my own car. This was too much money to be paying out when we own vehicles, he said. He told me that he was making an exception to our staff policy about mileage by requiring me to only use a company vehicle for all work appointments. I clarified. Did he mean all? Yes, he said. All. Sure, I can do that. I went through and booked a vehicle for the following 6 months for every scheduled appointment I knew I would have. Then I created a spreadsheet wherein I tracked the mileage I would have claimed, then compared it to a combination of the cost of the company vehicle plus my hourly rate and my salary if the vehicle was even slightly inconvenient to get. Some explanation here. I live in the south end of my city. My office is right downtown. Some of our locations are south of the city and some are north of the city. So for the southern visits I would leave my house and go to the location directly. Well, now I was driving to the office, getting a vehicle, driving back past my house to go to the southern locations, then repeating the same in reverse. I tracked all the time I spent in traffic doing this. Oh, and then a sudden meeting arose in the city, but I couldn't get one of the normal cars to use. All that was left was one of our 15-passenger vans. Ah, but I can't drive one of those vans as I don't have the right kind of license. So I had to take one of the seats out to bring it below the threshold of what's legal. And I drove all alone in a 15-passenger van, now an 11, to a meeting 12 minutes away and back and then replaced the seat. It was such a pain, so inconvenient and so very costly if you considered how much time I was wasting that wasn't being used for actual work things. After a few months of this, I took it to my now returned boss and let him know what I had done in compliance with the directive of the operations guy. According to my math, the company had paid nearly $1,000 more in my salary and time than I would have in mileage, and that was just over a couple of months. This wasn't going to be getting smaller over the years. My boss and the operations guy had a chat. And I was able to use my own vehicle once again, though I was encouraged to use a work vehicle anytime I was going north, which made sense. And people who might have otherwise wanted it would have to adjust their own lives to deal with my use of the vehicle. The last story is called Do Your Own Dishes. My sophomore year of college was an interesting time. My roommates and I didn't really see eye to eye following an incident very early in the school year. And they often ganged up on me regarding issues in the household, regardless of whether I played a hand in the issue or not. One such issue was the dirty dishes situation. Having lived in dorms the year prior, I had my own very basic dishes for the ramen and soup I lived off of and was used to hand washing everything. So while my roommates would load everything in the dishwasher and let everything overflow there and in the sink, I would wash my few dishes and towel dry them before returning them to my room. Occasionally I would go on a cleaning spree and clean all of the dishes, including what had been left in the dishwasher. So it never got so bad that we couldn't at least do things in the kitchen. One day they called a household meeting. My 2 roommates were eyeing me the entire time as they went over this dish issue and said from then on everyone was responsible for their own dishes. Cue malicious compliance. I stopped cleaning their messes. I used my personal microwave that I brought in from the dorms. I even stopped using their dishes except for making macaroni and cheese. Everything continued to pile up. There was often very little counter space in our rather large kitchen and every time they saw me they would glare. But I was doing my own dishes, just as they had asked. It all came to a head on one of the days I decided to make macaroni. I was in the midst of eating my lunch and had decided I would clean my dishes when I was done eating. Well, the worst of the 2 roommates came home and saw me casually eating in the living room and tried to accuse me of not cleaning my fair share of dishes. I looked up at her and gladly said that I would gladly point out exactly which dishes were mine in the kitchen. She seemed to have thought she had won based on the smug look she gave me. Bowl in hand, I walked her to the kitchen and pointed out the pot, wooden spoon and colander I had used to make my lunch. Then I motioned to my half-filled bowl and said that I had just made myself food. I asked her, as innocently as I could manage, if I should have washed what I had cooked with before sitting down to enjoy my food in the living room. She honestly looked ready to blow a gasket. Through gritted teeth, she told me that no, that wasn't expected of me. With a smile, I told her I would clean my mess after I had finished eating then. And I watched her look around at the pile of plates, pots and pans that she and our other roommates had let pile up in an attempt to either bully me into cleaning their stuff more often or prove some sort of point about me leaving everything a mess. They didn't bother me about cleaning up after myself for the last 2 months we lived together. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you have a great day. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit the like button. And please, if you are new here and want more content, subscribe to the channel. Bye bye.